Hi, I'm Wolf Loescher. I'm your host for week number 15 of 52 Drummers on Instagram. I thought I'd take a moment to introduce myself and tell you a bit about my drumming journey. And I think the best thing about being a drummer is the sense of community. We all get together, we share tips and tricks, and geek out about hardware and cymbals and heads and sticks and all those things. So I'm really proud to be a member of the drumming brotherhood and sisterhood. So my journey started just before sixth grade in the summer, where I started as a percussionist. And I was inspired to play percussion because I would always be taken to my elder siblings' concerts at the school. And while everybody was sitting down, there were these scruffy guys in the back. They would sit there, kind of staring off into space, and then occasionally they'd get up and whack on something, and then they'd go sit back down again. And for some reason, that really appealed to me as a mode of expression. So I started as percussionist there that summer, and unfortunately, I was deported to Scotland for 3 years. And there, I took lessons from, unfortunately, I can't remember her name, but she was the principal percussionist for the Scottish Royal Orchestra. And so that's where I kind of learned my rudiments. And then moving on from there, I came back to Texas, to Georgetown, Texas, and played in the marching band and in the concert band. Marching band, I was sideline percussion for a couple years, mallets and toms and things like that, timpani. And then a concert band, I was a principal timpanist. And then I got my first drum kit. Summer of 1984, one of the seniors in the drum line was going off to college and was selling off his kit. And so for $500, I got a set, basically a four-piece kit with a Premier snare, and I think they were Rogers drums, and a whole bunch of bips and bobs and things, lots of different heads. So that's how I learned about heads and sticks and things like that. So I set that up in the basement of my house in Philadelphia. And there for a year, I got lessons directly from Neil Peart, Stuart Copeland, Phil Collins, John Bonham, Manu Katché, and that's where my journey kind of really started, just plugging away in woodshedding and learning how to use the instrument. Moving off to college, I went to University of Texas at Austin. I was in the percussion ensemble for a couple of years. I was also in the basketball band, playing kit and snare and things like that for a couple of years. And then I joined my very first rock band called Summer Pool, I believe, and we rehearsed in Buda, Texas, in a 10 by 10 storage unit in August with no air conditioning, and we had carpeting hung on the sides of the walls to dampen some of the reverberation. But it was pretty brutal. I certainly got a workout. There was a series of other bands. Internal Motives was an all original progressive rock band. I was in a hard rock band called Atlantis that played around town quite a bit. And I went on to a quasi cover and original band called Little Luck. And through these, I was just getting my hours in, learning how to play, learning how to do gigs, learning what worked, learning what didn't work, learning what kind of drummer I wanted to be. After playing on Austin Sixth Street, playing mostly covers in that band, I was getting kind of tired of hauling my stuff in and out and not having anybody really pay that much attention to us. We were just background music, and if I'm working that hard, I want people to appreciate it. So I looked around to see if there might be another avenue to express myself. So I joined the Silver Thistle Pipes and Drums in 1993. I played snare. And fortunately, I was surrounded by a lot of people who were actually knew how to do that and were much better than me. So I learned from them. And I played as a snare drummer for several years, and then I did a couple years as a bagpiper. I mutated. At that time, I was surrounded by people who enjoyed Celtic folk music, and I got the weird idea of, well, why don't I just start a Celtic folk band? I was very much inspired by a Scottish band called Old Blind Dogs. They were able to take African and Mediterranean percussion and put it behind Scottish songs and bagpipes and things like that, and it sounded really wonderful to my ears. So I started a band called 2 O'Clock Courage. I bought a pair of kungas. I sold off my really nice Tama Superstar kit that I still regret. And I played with 2 O'Clock Courage for until 1997. And we recorded an album. We played a few festivals. It was a lot of fun. They were a good bunch of folks. Then in 1997, I decided it was time to go back to my roots, my drum kit roots, and I formed a band called 6 Mile Bridge, which was Celtic folk rock. So it was taking these Scottish songs and Irish songs again, traditional and modern, and putting them in a rock setting. So, and that went to 1999. We toured the Midwest and the East Coast, and that was my kind of first taste of touring life, which was very interesting on many levels. I joined a band called Buddha Crush, and it was sort of a fusion, jazz kind of flavored fusion stuff, fusion rock thing, which was really nice. And then relocated with the family to Minneapolis in 2006 and joined a band called the Sweet Colleens and played drums with them until 2016. Recorded 3 albums, I believe, with them. It was a lot of fun and good experience. And then I also played with my friends, the Hounds of Finn. I kind of sat in with them and always enjoyed playing with them. That was a lot of fun. In 2015, I joined the Piper Jones Band and as a trio and got to use what I had come to develop as calling my world kit, where I was able to take a kit built around a djembe in the place of where a snare might be and add cymbals and a couple other drums, doumbek and some other foot percussion and a kick drum, hi-hats, and play it all by hand. And it served me well, and I still play that sort of setup today. And a little bit unusual because I was able to meld the rock drumming side with the hand percussion side, and I thought it provided a unique kind of sound. And I've always most recently in 2025 in November, I joined a local all original rock band here in northern Colorado called Where There's Smoke. And after a good 10 years of not playing with sticks, my chops were pretty rusty. So luckily, I was able to take advantage of new advances in technology that had been made since I last played drum kit, and now we have silent heads from Remo, the Silent Strokes, and we have L80 low volume cymbals from Zildjian, and I'll be giving you some examples of that in the posts of upcoming days. So I was able to get in and play an hour, hour and a half a day in the basement and not have the whole house be disturbed. So it was a really great development. Finally, I wanted to give a quick shout out to two drum brothers, Jeff Tripoli, who I met along the lines of touring in the Celtic folk and rock music scene, and he introduced me to Liam McKinnon, who is the power behind the throne of 52 Drummers. Thanks so much, guys, for making this possible. Hope to run into you soon and share some drum stories. Thanks for joining me on my drumming journey. I wish you best of luck on your drumming journey. Welcome to the community. Be part of the community. Participate. Add some comments. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Got questions? I'm here to answer them. Thanks again for being a part of this. I'm Wolf Loescher for 52 Drummers. We'll see you soon. Cheers.